All right, we start this hour in the United States, where day 2 of the Democratic National Convention has drawn to a close, with former President Barack Obama warning that it's a tight race with the Republicans and the work is not yet done. His speech followed remarks by former First Lady Michelle Obama and Donald Trump's former Press Secretary Stephanie Grisham. From Chicago, Arise International correspondent Faith Orr reports.
He is the headliner among headliners, especially in Chicago. Who else compares to Barack Obama in this city? And he took full advantage of that, telling delegates at the DNC they had a fight on their hands.
I am feeling ready to go. Even if I am the only person stupid enough to speak after Michelle Obama. I am feeling hopeful because this convention has always been pretty good to kids with funny names who believe in a country where anything is possible. Because we have a chance to elect someone who has spent her entire life trying to give people the same chances America gave her. Someone who sees you and hears you and will get up every single day and fight for you. The next president of the United States of America, Kamala Harris.
Former First Lady Michelle Obama also addressed the crowd. If polls are correct, she is one of the most favoured people in the country to hold the office of the President of the United States. But she refuses to do so, instead hoping to wield her influence to help Kamala Harris.
Why would we normalize that type of backward leadership? Doing so only demeans and cheapens our politics. It only serves to further discourage good, big-hearted people from wanting to get involved at all. America, our parents taught us better than that, and we deserve so much better than that. That's why we must do everything in our power to elect 2 of those good, big-hearted people. There is no other choice than Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. No other choice.
It's all about the momentum of this convention. They want to end the week strong and they want to carry that on when Harris is announcing new policies. They want to keep up the enthusiasm that they're hoping to stir up here in Chicago. Earlier in the evening, there was a slightly unexpected twist, with Donald Trump's former press secretary, Stephanie Grisham, addressing the crowd.
I saw him when the cameras were off. Behind closed doors, Trump mocks his supporters. He calls them basement dwellers. On a hospital visit one time when people were dying in the ICU, he was mad that the cameras were not watching him. He has no empathy, no morals, and no fidelity to the truth. He used to tell me, "It doesn't matter what you say, Stephanie. Say it enough and people will believe you." But it does matter. What you says matter, and what you don't say matters. On January 6th, I asked Melania if we could at least tweet that while peaceful protest is the right of every American, there's no place for lawlessness or violence. She replied with one word: no.
As Obama says, the fight for this election isn't over. And if the Democrats want to win, they're going to have to persuade a closely divided country that they're the best option. Faith Orr, Arise News, Chicago.
All right, then joining us live from Chicago for a recap of the Democratic National Convention Day 2 and what to expect from Day 3 is Arise correspondent Adesuwa Giwa Osage. Thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you, Adesuwa. If you can just bring us up to speed. We do know Barack Obama and Michelle Obama electrified the DNC on Tuesday, delivering back-to-back speeches. Can you give us more about what happened on ground?
Okay, well, good morning, Shaitan. Good morning, Vimbai. It's very nice to be with you guys today. And I would like to say this. Now, what Michelle Obama did yesterday at the Democratic National Convention has no comparison. She electrified it beyond even what Barack Obama, the former president, could do himself. In fact, that is why he came on stage and said he was the only person stupid enough to go after his wife. And I do not think it was just flattery. The whole place was loud. It has not been that loud for anyone else. And what Michelle did is she spoke to hope. She spoke to people on the left. She spoke to Donald Trump himself. And she spoke to the American people and American possibilities. She related herself, her story, with her mother and that of Kamala Harris and her mother, who came to America. Kamala's mother came to America when she was 19 years old, and she came here and sought a better life, a better dream. And that is what she did for her daughter. And Michelle, by joining her story with Kamala's, by speaking of hope and the audacity of hope, joining Kamala's journey with that of Barack Obama's, who used hope and the audacity of hope as his slogan in the beginning, what Michelle did was to electrify the base and to also reach out to people. She said there is no Goldilocks perfect candidates. We must move beyond needing a perfect candidate in the Democratic Party, is what she was saying. Now we need everyone to do something. And that was the call and response last night, that everyone here needs to do something. It was beautiful to see.
All right, Adesuwa, now notably absent, of course, is Kamala Harris herself yesterday. I believe she went to campaign elsewhere. Was she missed?
Oh, yes, she was missed, but I would tell you something that's very amazing. Where Kamala Harris went to go and campaign yesterday is actually where Donald Trump and the Republican Party had their own Republican National Convention. And you can imagine she filled that location, is 90 miles away from here, and they filled the United Center here in Chicago. So what they did was they did have her live streamed into the convention to officially accept her nomination as president, as a nominee for president for the Democratic Party. And the arena there and the arena here was incredibly live. Now, it's said that Kamala, she's already returned back to Chicago. It's been reported that she's back. She was circling in the air because her husband, Doug, was on the stage really bleeding about how much she matters as a mom, as a woman, as a leader, and as a wife. He shared the story of the personal side of Kamala Harris. So she was missed, but she was also felt because her husband was here yesterday to represent her.
All right, then another thing that really stood out from last night was a former Trump White House press secretary, Stephanie Grisham, who spoke about what Donald Trump was like behind closed doors and what led her to leave the White House. Can you talk to us a bit more about that and what it felt like just listening to that speech, being a presence on ground?
You know, the most amazing thing is that I've actually heard Stephanie tell this story before. Stephanie Grisham, the former White House press secretary, she was also a personal assistant to Melania Trump. And I've heard her, because she has gone on podcasts and on NPR and some certain shows in the past, to talk about her experience in the Trump White House. And beyond that, her experience after leaving the Trump White House, which is something she also shared when she got off the stage, is that she's actually been afraid. She's been under constant threat from some Trump supporters. She's had threats of violence. It's been a very hard time since she left the White House. And she also said yesterday how she refused to hold a press conference because she did not want to sully the institution that she was a part of, because she knew that she was being made to tell untruths, and she did not want to do that from the podium of a White House press secretary. I think what she said is something that's very, very, very important. She said that she loves her country more than she loves her party, and so she was going to support a Democrat, which even when it came out of her mouth, she seemed as surprised as everyone else, that she's like, I'm going to support a Democrat, I'm going to support Kamala Harris, and I'm not going to join hands with my party. And she's not the only Republican who was on stage yesterday. People are saying that the Democratic National Convention is so diverse that you even have Republicans on stage. We've had major Republicans come out and say that they are not going to be endorsing Donald Trump. And it says a lot about his personality if the people closest to him are refusing to endorse him. As everyone knows, his former vice president, Mike Pence, has refused to endorse him, says he's not going to be voting for Donald Trump. Mitt Romney, the former Republican nominee for president, has also said he's not going to be voting for Donald Trump. And Barack Obama and Michelle Obama made sure yesterday to hone in on that what they feel is Trump's personality as a small man, Michelle even said it's a con, somebody who falls up, he falls and he still falls forward. So it's definitely telling. I think her statement yesterday was very powerful. It also came after a Trump supporter who had voted for Trump twice came on stage and said he was going to vote Democrat for the very first time. So we're seeing a very interesting theme here with Republicans against Trump having their own Twitter page. I think it was definitely a moment. It was definitely a moment, and I hope Stephanie Grisham is doing okay today.
Right, certainly a lot going on there, you know, some words coming from the Democrats, words coming from the Republicans, a lot of exchange happening. It will be interesting to see how it all plays out at the polls. However, day 3 is loading for you at the DNC. Can you tell us a little bit about what we can expect later on today?
Oh, I'm sure today is going to be so much fun. Now, one of my favorite people in the world, Pete Buttigieg, we've never met, but I love the way he speaks. He's going to be on stage today. Former President Bill Clinton is going to be on stage today. And in 1996, in this same Chicago, he accepted the nomination to be the Democratic candidate for president. We also have Nancy Pelosi. Now, apart from Kamala Harris, she is the woman who's been elected to the highest office in the land here in America. She was Speaker of the House for a very long time, and she's considered the most powerful Speaker of the House that America has had in contemporary history. She's also the person who has been credited with convincing President Biden to step down his ambition for a second term in office. So we're going to have that. And also Tim Walz, or Coach Walz, as Kamala Harris calls him, the vice president nominee, is going to come and officially accept the nomination of the Democratic Party to be their vice president candidate. And I imagine it's going to be another action-packed day here at the DNC.
Well, thank you very much. Arise News correspondent Adesuwa Giwa-Osage, making us proud all the way from Chicago. Thank you.